Hey guys, this is Lilith Evernight, and I'm going to try to make this video pretty quick. I don't want to make it too long because I have a habit of talking a lot. So, I guess I just want to discuss a little bit about angels, one of my favorite topics. I don't know what I'm going to put as the title because I want to inform that when I do make my Book of Shadow vlogs, I do try to talk about the topics that I put on my titles, so I don't try to make it clickbaity or whatever, because I know that I know how that feels when people do that, when they use clickbait. So I try to stay on topic when I put the titles. So, but at the same time, when it comes to my vlogs, if it says Book of Shadow vlogs, and that is also me talking about the subject, but it's also me vlogging. So I am, using my my diary, which a Book of Shadows is also a diary. So it's a witch's diary. Uh, that is to share with people who are very into my channel, I guess, or very highly in tune with me as well. Yeah, so I'm talking about angels, and I'm using my smudge stick because I'm trying to, cleanse all that crazy energy that I just was feeling, and so that I won't be getting off topic. But I was reading the book that I had talked about on my last video was about Enochian Magick, if I said that correctly, because in this book it talks so much about like different type of spiritual studies that a lot of magicians and occultists and healers and shamans and anyone who's just into the craft, any witch, uh, anyone who's into the occult would understand, all those different types of practices. So, you know, Enochian Magick talks about, angels. So, and well, actually, it talks about, yeah, it does talk about angels, but it talks about the language of angels. And let me actually take it out. Let me see if I can find this, because I'm getting kind of drained, but I don't want to get too drained, because it seems like every time I have so much energy, I don't use that energy to make videos, which I should. But anyway, so let's see, where is it? Okay, here is this. Oh, it was on this chapter in the book. It doesn't have chapters, but this is Enochian Magick right here. And let's talk. There is. It talks about Dr. John Dee, who is an English astrologer, mathematician, and magician, and the portrait of Edward Kelly, who is an alchemist and seer to John Dee. So this is Edward Kelly, and this is Dr. John Dee, and these two men had worked together to do these practices, these spiritual practices, and gain the knowledge to believe that they were speaking to angels, and getting the knowledge in the actual alphabetical letters as well. And to me, I believe that they were doing like even some form of like not necromancy, but like they were doing like seances, or I don't know, like channels, like channeling. And Edward Kelly, from what I believe, Edward Kelly, he was the one that was the seer. So he was the seer. So he was the one that was able to give this information back into this realm. And Dr. John Dee also believed that not only angels were made of light who served the divine throne, but he also believed that there were some angels of wickedness that were cast down from heaven as punishment from their disobedience. So some people, I've heard this a lot before. Some people had believed that, some angels are, some of them are of light, some of them are good, and some angels are not so good. And I've also heard that from demons, you know, like, or jinn. They say that some jinn are not all bad. Some of them are good and some of them are bad, you know. So a couple people have told me that, you know, and, you know, me, you have to kind of sometimes keep an open mind because you never know, like, what is really going on in this world, you know, for us to just say this is true or this is not true. And when I look at the human race, you know, there's humans who are good and there's some who are bad and there's some who are a little in between, you know. But I believe that we need to have a little bit of both of the light and the dark within us to really be completely whole. Anyway, so I mean, of us as humans, I believe I'm one of those people to believe that, you know, there is a spiritual realm, and I know there is a spiritual realm, and I believe that, you know, when I speak, and this is my spirit speaking, this is my soul speaking, and so like if I have a spirit within myself, then there's a realm somewhere that is visible for that part of me. That is what is the, not visible, but like there is a world that exists for that part of myself, you know, that is the realm of the spirit. And so that, you know, there's some people who believe that before anything is physical, it comes from the spiritual realm anyway. So anything can be like, even a thought can be a spiritual realm, a part of the spiritual realm, I mean. A thought, some people believe that thoughts come from angels as well. So, you know, I guess this discussion is just like, you know, I was just studying. I read this whole book already. I read this book like a few months ago, almost last year. So I did a lot of highlighting in here. You know, it's such an amazing book, like so enlightening, and it was just really fun to read. I'm not just saying this because I'm trying to promote it. Like, I mean, it's not even a brand new book. It's not even a new book that's a hot topic, but it doesn't matter. You know, I'm a big bookworm. I should maybe do a video on, you know, my bookshelf and show you guys like all my collections. I should. I don't know why I don't do that. Like, I think it would be a cool video. Maybe I'll do that in the next video. So anyway, but like if you guys are into books, you know, like if you're not, you're not. But like if you, I have spiritual books. I have books that are based on fiction as well. So anyway, let me not get off topic. So, yeah. So about angels, like a lot of people who, not a lot, but a few people that I've encountered that did talk about Enochian Magick. If I'm saying that wrong, you know, correct me if I'm wrong. The reason why I call it Enochian Magick is because, you know, Enoch, you know, based on the, you know, Enochian Magick is based on Enoch, who is from the book of Enoch. So, and even they even show you in this book like the letters, the angel letters and all of that. But there are some people who know about this practice and they will tell you otherwise. They will tell you that okay, here it is. You can see my finger moving. That is where some of the Enochian language is right there. And you know, so let me just show that one more time where my finger is at. Okay, and then there's another one. You know, this is one of the complex letter tables used in the Golden Dawn Enochian Magick. So, you know, the Golden Dawn, you know, spiritual teachings and practice also really fascinated me as well, which, it's also, they also talk about the Golden Dawn in here. They talk about so many things in here that it has to do with magic. It's crazy. You know, they even talk about the history of like people, like, you know, like in my last video, they talk about many different teachings. You know, they talk about the light side, the dark side. You know, they talk about, you know, Christ and his teachings, and they even talk about Aleister Crowley and how he was. And what I like about this book is that even though it's about magic, and they don't do everything in this book just because it's trendy. Just because, oh, like, oh, magic is supposed to be dark and scary and creepy, and like, if you do this, then you're so powerful. And like, this book teaches you, yeah, you can go and mess with that stuff, but just be warned, you know, look at what happened to, you know, Aleister Crowley, you know, in this book, that's what it says. This is not from my words, you know, I'm not a fan of Aleister Crowley. So if anyone is a fan of Aleister Crowley, you know, I'm not here to tell someone what they shouldn't believe in, but, you know, I have my reasons on why I feel the way about his teachings, and I don't want to get into that. Maybe I'll talk about that in the next video. There are subjects that I should talk about, and maybe there's other people who do practice, you know, the left-hand path or the satanic path, and they feel like they know what they're doing. And if there's people who feel like they know what they're doing, then, you know, like, you know, I'm not here to judge, because I've had people of all walks of life. I've talked to all walks of life. I've talked to left-handers, left-handed people, like spiritual people who are left-hand, and people who are on the right-hand path. You know, I'm both. You know, I'm left-handed and I'm right-handed. You know, I see both. You know, I'm light and I'm dark. You know, I'm white and I'm black. You know, not literally, like, not racially. I'm actually black and Mexican. So anyway, off topic. Let's talk about, like, Enochian Magick, though. Enochian Magick is also, like, known to be, like, very intense for some people. Like, they say you gotta be careful with it. You know, you don't want to just use this magic and get what you want to get out of it and expect everything to be, like, all love and light, because it's about angels. Like they say, like, working with angel magic is also intense too. So yeah, even in my Wicca book, it doesn't talk about Enochian Magick, but it does talk about working with the angels and the archangels in, like, ritual, and, you know, how you should kind of be not kind of, but you should be respectful, and you should work with them at ease. So if anyone has any experiences with working with Enochian Magick, I would love to know that, or just with angels in general. And, you know, I just love talking about angels because angels are fun to talk about. You know, people have their opinions about it, and I'm also fascinated about, like, you know, I've always been kind of fascinated in every aspect of spirituality, not just, like, angels and the more innocent things. I mean, look at Enochian Magick. It's about angels, but it's pretty intense magic. And also it's associated with the Golden Dawn, which the Golden Dawn is also infamous. I've never did any practices of the Golden Dawn, but, you know, anyway, so maybe I should talk about the Golden Dawn a little bit. You know, I like reading the history of the Golden Dawn. Like, I got so fascinated as well, because I was like, oh my god, you know, like, I kind of want to low-key practice it, but, you know, some people are like, hey, don't do the Golden Dawn, don't practice the Golden Dawn, you know. But, you know, this is a stylized Golden Dawn interpretation of the tree of the Kabbalah, showing the 10 Sephiroth as fears. If I know I said that wrong. And from the Golden Dawn by Israel. I'm not even going to say his last name. It's hard. By Israel R. So, if you can see that, that is from the Golden Dawn. And I think in this book it tells me that I think Aleister Crowley also had some associations with the Golden Dawn as well. So yeah, you know, that's crazy. It says that a lot of the people that did work in the Golden Dawn, though, like, I have to do a separate video on this. I don't want to just ramble on different things, but these are just, you know, pictures of the Rose Cross as it was conceived by one of the early admirers of the German mystical order. Oh, I can't even say that right. Rosarians. Oh my god, I'm such a valley girl sometimes, but, you know, trust me, I study a lot, though. It's just, you know, I'm not used to certain words when it comes to learning something new. Or just not, you know, words that, you know what I mean? Like, there's just those words that you want to say, but you don't want to get wrong. That's what I'm trying to say. You know what you're talking about, but you just don't want to be tongue twisted. Okay, so, yeah. So, this is a great book. I love this book. One of my favorite books of all times. And, yeah, I was just studying a little bit about, I was just talking a little bit about Enochian Magick, and, I was studying a little bit about the Golden Dawn as well, so I think I want to make a separate video about the Golden Dawn, you know, and talk about them too. Talk about that practice. You know, I'm not here to condone that, letting you guys know that. And also, just talking about angels. This is more based on angels, and just, you know, knowing that it's interesting that there's people out there who love to work with magic and love to work with angels, and how there's religious people too who love angels too, who love to work with angels as well. But then there's people who are, you know, who would never look like they would work with angels, and you know, they're out here, you know, trying to speak in that language, in a foreign language that they believe that the angels sent to them spiritually, through a seer, through a mystic, through a person who was getting this information from another realm. That is amazing. And they actually like discovered the alphabets of these angels. And some people say, oh, that's not angels, those are demons. But you know, a lot of religious people are going to say this and that, and a lot of occultists are going to say this and that. So it's like, you know, what are you going to believe? You know, you can only really know what's really in your intuition and what your gut is telling you when it comes to certain things. And no one can really tell you what you know is what you know you should study and what you shouldn't. It's not that you are trying to be stupid. You're studying it so that you don't be stupid. You're so that you won't be ignorant, so that you won't be misinformed. You study these things so that you can understand what you're getting into, versus you just, okay, this looks cool and it's so magical and I'm gonna look like, you know, like one of the witches from The Craft or one of the guys from the Covenant movie, and it's just gonna go down. Like, it, no, like, you have to know what you're getting into, whether it's light or whether it's dark, because not all light is good and not all bad, not all dark is bad. You know, that's what I've learned. You know, if you have too much light, if you have too much positive, you know, then you're never going to learn the reality of everything in life. You're never going to see the beauty in the darkness as well. So anyway, this was just about angels and me just studying a little bit about Enochian magic, and just, you know, uh, talking about angels. Like, I love talking about angels. And I was also thinking about, like, you know, like homeless people. Like I was saying, you know, like, not all, like, a lot of people have been saying this lately, but there's some people that believe that even like when you see a homeless person on the street and they're asking for money or something, that could be an angel. If you ever seen like the movie, not the movie, the TV show Touched by an Angel, that is kind of like similar, kind of sort of similar of what people were talking about. Like, let's just say like someone that looks like me, like a human being just walking down the street, that person can just be someone of a spiritual realm, and very, if they're not an angel, then they probably can see angels, or they're probably very connected to angels. So you never know who you come across that may blow your mind. And I've had a lot of those amazing experiences. So another reason why I'm bringing that up is because, like, I remember one time when I was going on my spiritual journey, my magic was going crazy intense, you know. So a lot of, my energy. So when I was working with my magic in that intense way, when I had my spiritual awakening, it was so intense. I need to make a separate video on that. But the whole point is that, I started writing music, and once I started writing music, I guess, that magic, that creative energy, that creation is like a magical act. So people can feel that energy. So it's like one time I was just out, sitting on the grass, and I was just writing some music, and some guy just came up to me and was just like, hey, I'm an angel. And he was just telling me all this, you know, he was just telling me things that only I would know. And it's like, that's another story, Do I think he was an angel? Probably not, but you get the gist. Maybe he was, you never know. Like, maybe he was, but you never know. You know, maybe also people believe that angels are actually like, you know, those thoughts that come in your head and you get those really good ideas, and then when you let those ideas flourish and you let them grow and you let them become something beautiful, those are from angels. And so maybe it wasn't necessarily that he was the angel, but something within him maybe was sent in an angelic way, if that makes sense. So, you know, don't judge a book by its cover, because not all homeless are homeless. You know, those people are, you know, probably they're really they're really tied to a divine source. And I'm not saying that just because some people are tied to a spiritual connection of this planet, on this planet, in a supernatural way, you still have to understand that humans are still humans and people are still people. So, you know, I'm not saying go out and go up to a homeless person or just anybody that you feel that is supernatural and say, hey, are you an angel? Like, because maybe, you know, like, just like Dr. John D said, he didn't believe that all angels were nice, you know. He didn't believe all angels were good, you know. So just like humans, we're still human. We all have that light. We all have that dark. Um, like I say to myself, I'm not a hero and I'm not a villain. I'm like an anti-hero, you know, like, you know, and maybe I should talk about that in the next video as well, as why I say that to myself, because I have so many crazy stories. So yeah, thanks for watching.